Vicky.
And I'm Heather.
And we're the Electric Needle Girls. We are going to be talking to you about our pattern, our Eagle Crossbody bag. So that is this pattern just here. I'll move that up, our Eagle Crossbody bag. We're really happy with this, but as a part of this is we're going to teach you how to make this, but make it using directional fabric and fussy cutting your pieces. I know that I always hear about it, and they write if using directional fussy cut, but nobody's ever explained it in a video. So this is what we're going to do. So as you can see right now, Heather's opening up the bag.
An internal mesh pocket. It's big enough for a plus iPhone. That was one of our, because I'm old and blind, I can't see. So I made it big enough for a plus iPhone in the front pocket. Thanks. And we fussy cut the front with that owl, the back with that owl, and the side gussets with this little mouse, which the owls probably want to eat. Where am I not in screen? I never do that. I can't see.
So we've got the little mouse there, and this is where we've actually created a joint in the fabric.
Before we quilted it.
Yes.
It's the fabric. It's a Free Spirit fabric. So I'll just show you the selvage. So if you want to look for it, there we go. Forest floor. I used this as the contrast fabric, the binding. We only need a very small piece of that, a fat eighth.
So if you're making this bag with non-directional fabric, it is 2 fat quarters and a fat eighth of fabric.
But we're making this a little bit differently today.
Yeah. As we're using a directional fabric, depending on the size of your print, you can use from up to 1/2 meter, if not a little more, depending on the size of your print.
So, and this I put behind the pocket because I didn't want to use the owl fabric behind the pocket. That seemed a bit redundant. And this is my lining fabric. Again, because we're going to quilt this in the hoop on the digital embroidery machine, I've cut this piece a little bit bigger than a fat quarter so the hoop can hold it. That all sounds a little complicated, but we'll show you as we're going along.
That said, if you can't do digital embroidery, or you don't have a long arm, or you don't want to do free motion, this particular bag, if you look really closely, this is just done cross-hatch with a walking foot. It's less than an inch gap between each.
Half, I think.
Yeah, but 1/2 inch gap between each cross. So that is a walking foot quilting.
I love walking foot quilting. I find it very relaxing because I don't have to think too much. So for this bag, we also need a small piece of mesh for the internal zip pocket. We've bound it with 1 inch fold over elastic. Sorry, you do that. Do I get it? I get it out of screenshot all the time.
Yep. So that's our 1
brown
inch.
fold over elastic. This is our strapping, so we don't even make a strap. This is a really simple strap, and I love it.
And we fix these with either a rivet, or if you don't have a rivet press, Chicago screws. They are both an option.
We've yet to make a decision on which zip tape to use. I'm leaning toward the gunmetal one.
Yes. We used the antique silver one in the one we made previously, so just for a tad bit of difference.
So I'm leaning toward using the gunmetal pull, not this antique silver pull, just so that my twins aren't completely identical.
Yep, so we're going without the darker black one. There.
And we've got a name tag to put in it because we like to tag all our makes. I'll turn that round so you can read it. That's the correct way up. And we've got a kit of 2 swivel hooks, 2 D-rings and 1 slide adjuster.
As well as in the kit we've put Chicago screws for the crossbody strap. But if you have a rivet press and you're after the kit, shoot us an email and we will put rivets in instead.
Also, we like to use
your 1/4 inch water-soluble double-sided tape. It's a low-tack double-sided tape, but that means that 1, it's being water-soluble, it will wash away. 2, your needle can go through it without it gumming your needle up, which is very important, as we don't want to be wiping our needles down from gunk. It's a really good product just to sew through. If you've ever, Yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk about that when we start using it. I like to use Glide thread. I quilt and construct a lot of bags with that. Vic likes, what do you like to use?
Wonderfil.
Wonderfil. So that's all right.
Just
as long as it's a polyester thread.
Yes.
Strong thread.
A strong polyester thread. It doesn't matter whether it's Glide, Wonderfil. As long as it's a strong polyester thread, that's the most important part about it for your bag. As if you use, say, a cotton thread, it's going to break, your bag's going to fall apart, and all that work's going to be for naught.
So I usually have a walking foot, and most machines have a walking foot. These are bi-level feet, which we use to butt up against things and get a really even top stitching width, and we've got a right and a left bi-level foot. I really like this 1/4 inch zip foot because I can sew quite narrow seams with that. I like a jeans needle for making bags because getting over the thick parts helps. We use a cigarette lighter to melt the ends of zip tape and the strapping.
That's correct. So if you have any little fluffy bits on the end of your zip, it helps to melt the ends first before putting your pulls on.
Oh, I forgot it.
Because with the seatbelt webbing, we're going to be punching holes through it. Our fray check, so we have it in a dispenser like this, and we actually also have it in a squeeze bottle as well. This
seals raw edges.
Seals raw. It stops your. I just stabbed myself on the biony.
Oh, sorry, I did that on purpose.
Yeah. It stops your edges from fraying after you've put a rivet, a Chicago screw, any hole kind of punch into your bag, and that comes with an additional reservoir.
I also like to use some kind of a tailor's awl. Can you see that it's got quite a sharp point on it? This is a Biani one because I did just stab Vicky with it, so that was good. I've got 3 marking tools. They are all white, but because this is quite dark fabric, the white will show up. There's lots of different marking tools we use, but and I've also got a
hump jumper or
uneven seam,
bulky seam aid.
Bulky seam aid, thank you. A rounding off tool because we need to round the corners because we cut rectangles and then round the corners off.
So
bag clips. We use a lot of bag clips
bag clips, binding clips. These are like a must.
Sewing clips. What else do people call them? I don't know. We've also
binding
got
clips.
On the table, we've got Best Press in Vicky's bottle, and my bottle has water for steam if we want it. We've got 505. It's like a glue stick, but it's the 505 glue we get in the spray. Now, a lot of people don't like using the spray, but this is fabulous. And this is our zip jig, so we put the pulls on our zip tape with this. And we've got a video on Insta and Facebook of how to use that. And we didn't banter at all in that video, did we?
No, not at all. The Instagram one's no words, but the Facebook one's got some definite banter in there. Now that we've shown you all the bits and pieces that we use to make the bag, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how we position our fussy cutting. So taking a cereal box, a cardboard box, what we've done is we've cut an oversized pieces of cardboard.
Oversized by how much?
So we've oversized our pieces by 1/2 inch per the pattern size pieces. Now this is because when we cut it out, it's then going to be quilted, and when we quilt, it shrinks.
So we need 2 of this size.
Yeah, so this is our front and back panel.
And one of these will be in the other fabric, not the feature fabric. And one of those, because that's the pocket.
Yeah, and that's our front pocket.
And then this big one, which was a little bit harder to cut because of its size.
Yeah.
This is our gusset. We've also, you can see here, we've got little marks. These are our centre marks. This is to help us position the fabric, to centre the fabric in the hole. And we will either freehand cut these out with a rotary cutter or draw around it with a chalk marker and cut with scissors. We will do something. It doesn't have to be accurate at this stage because we are going to quilt it, which will make it inaccurate. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to cut out 2 mouses. And I know that it's 2 mice, but anyway. So
let's just have it a bit further onto camera.
I have a knot. This is not our finished size, but I'm using a 4-inch ruler because I'm lining up the centre of the mouse's nose, the centre of the leaf above, the centre of the raccoon head, and I'm going to cut a piece out of this, which will be oversized. I'm going to cut 2 identical pieces and join them on the machine.
And I think we join it with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, is that correct?
Yes, and I've got the machine all set up with the correct thread. I'm just so organised, you'll just blow you away.
Here are our pieces. Heather, do you want to talk to them?
Okay, now you'll notice that I drew around, because I think Vicky will have sped that up. I drew around it, but then I've given myself an extra little bit, because if I'm going to make my fabric into Swiss cheese, I may as well just have Swiss cheese, you know. Anyway, so these are the 2 bits, the mice I have to sew together. So I will choose a bit. I want to have the whole mouse at the top of the gusset on the side of the bag. You keep taking the bag away from me.
Well, I do that so we've got a nice clean surface. So it will be at the top of the gusset, below the zip.
You can see we've still got the leaf. In the one that I've already made, we've still got just a bit of the leaf and not much of the raccoon head. So I'll join.
So that's our raccoon.
We've got the leaf at the top of the raccoon and not much of it. We've got this thing here. I will join that on a standard sewing machine with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we'll come back and I'll show you how we apply this, how we base this together for quilting.
Yep.
So we can...
Okay, so we'll see you shortly. So now Heather has gone and sewn the gusset piece together. What we've got here is our fat 1/4 of foam that we'll be using to make the bag. Now, using the 505 glue stick that we mentioned earlier, we're just going to open this up and we're just going to go around the corner and we're going to make it look all nice and blue. Okay, now that we have it repositioned to our liking, and it doesn't have to be repositioned straight, and that's because it's just going to go in the hoop. Heather and we are going to glue on again.
I was just going to show them where I sewed the gusset together at the bottom. So I've joined it with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Note that I haven't really cut it straight, but that doesn't matter because I'm going to trim it to size later on. And that's my centre bottom of my gusset, but you'll see that I do have the mice. You know what I did? I actually poked a pin through the tuffet on the top of the raccoon's head.
Okay.
That's how I did it. So I think in this case we might put some glue on here and I'll turn it over.
Okay, now we've moved across to the sewing machine. So you'll see that Heather's got the machine, the pieces underneath the foot, and she's about to start sewing. Do you want to explain a bit more, Heather?
I put the 5 pieces for the bag on here. So, yes. So here I go. Vic will film all this, but she'll speed it up. And I'm going to zigzag around each piece again so that presser foot when we're doing the machine embroidery doesn't lift it up, and I'm also going to zigzag around the edge of the foam onto the lining because I also don't want the presser foot to lift that up. Okay?
Okay, everyone, we've got them all sewed down now. So,
Is that better?
let's flip around the other way so the owls
So
are
they're up the correct way.
So if we just bring this in closer, you will see that all the edges have been zigzagged around. So all the pieces are attached. We've even zigzagged the edges of the foam down, so there's no possibility of that catching either. So next step is quilting, which will be done in the hoop.
On the other machine. You'll notice that I have very roughly cut these pieces. At this point, we don't need to be accurate, and that's okay. That's good, because that's how bag making is. Because I'm going to cut it much more accurately after we've quilted.
Yep, after we've quilted and we're ready to put pieces together.
Where's thumbs up for that one? Okay.
Okay. We'll take you to the quilting shortly. What we've done is we've gone and quilted the fabric, which you'll have seen sped up in the just a little bit earlier. We're going to cut these to size, and then we're going to come back and we're going to show you the cut pieces. See you soon. We have cut out our pieces. We did have a little bit of an error that we're just going to fix up with you guys right now. We forgot to cut our zipper gusset. So with your fat quarter of fabric, this is our layout for your back panel.
This is the back panel.
That's the back panel. Your front panel,
which would then have
the owl sitting over the top of it,
and zip tape. So that's here.
Yep. Then we have our
fussy cut front panel.
Fussy cut front panel, fussy cut zipper gusset,
which will get cut in half to have the zip between the two pieces.
And our zip gusset, which is joined in the centre. Our bottom gusset, sorry.
Yes, which has the fabric is joined here so that the mice, what do you want to call them?
Yeah.
They're up the correct way on the sides of the gusset, like we have here. This is the one we're making. So our mice are up the right way.
Okay, so this is just showing you how it should be laid out. Your pieces still will be oversized.
Only that and that.
And they're before quilting.
Oh, if you're like, yes, sorry.
Yeah, before quilting, because we have trimmed these back down. Okay, so moving on from here, we're going to get rid of this fat quarter panel.
So we've got our binding fabric, which is, you can see here that we've used that on either side of the zip, and here this has got nothing in it, so it's collapsing.
So yeah, the binding is being used either side of the zip on the zip panel for both the front and interiors, front pocket zip, the exterior zip gusset, and it's also used on the mesh, which we have cut here, our top and bottom, to bind that as well. So we're going to go through
the side binding.
And side binding, yes. So it has a few functions. None of it being bias. This is all straight of grain.
Exactly.
Because we're going to be using that fold over elastic we mentioned earlier as our bias. Okay, so moving on, we are going to
prepare our binding strips.
Okay, so we're now over at our ironing surface here. What we're going to do is we're going to quad fold, what we call quad fold our binding. So first off, what we're going to do is take our iron and we're going to fold it in half.
Fold the fabric in half, not the iron in half.
Fold the fabric in half on the short direction, not the long direction.
Yeah, long edge to long edge.
Yep. So we're going to do this 4 times. Because we're going to have 4 strips. So just making sure you can see what I'm doing.
I think you can see.
Yep.
With your purple nails.
Yeah.
Did you want to spray it a bit with water, or do you want?
No, that's good. I'm just going to grab if you have a clapper, which pulls the heat out. This does help set the crease. And I'm just doing it really quickly, because what we're going to do now is we're actually going to unfold it and then fold to that line.
The first fold is a marked line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is, it can get a little bit fiddly, but it does give us a really good result at the end.
There's other ways of doing this too, isn't there?
Yes.
You can do it with a
bias
maker.
Yeah, even though it's not bias, you can do it with a bias maker.
Well, that's what they're called. Yes. But not everybody has one, so we're showing them how to do it the old-fashioned way.
Yes, we are.
Notice my clean ironing surface, hey?
Well, it is a working...
This is a working space, isn't it?
Yes.
People, please, we do actually produce a lot of...
Well, this is where all the patterns get developed that we are currently working on, where we do our
personal sewing?
Our personal sewing, because that does happen occasionally for me. Okay, now we have our binding folded, ironed and made, and cut to size. So I'm going to put that to the side for the moment. As you can see, it's a quad fold there, as Heather's unfolding all my nice work.
I'm just showing people what it is, honey bunny.
Yeah. We are going to move on to cutting our zipper gusset in half. So let's get that in the camera.
The gusset pieces in this pattern are all cut to oversize, just to allow for differences in seam allowance and etc, etc.
So what we will do is we'll go to the sewing machine, and what we're going to do is we'll just do 1/8 of an inch along these edges, just to compress it.
It's got a little bit of zigzag left, but not much.
Yep. So whilst Heather's doing that, I am going to show you how we attach our binding to our pocket pieces and various other pieces.
So you're sending me off to work?
Yeah, I'm sending Heather off to work. It is 1/8 of an inch straight stitch on the edge, just to compress the edges. As you can see, like what we've done, I'll move this nice and close. Whoop. As you can see, the stitching in there, it's just to compress the edges. So you can see here I've already done one. And what I'm going to show you how we did that with another piece of our binding. So here's a pre-cut piece. We generally have you oversize it. I haven't oversized these too much, so they are pretty much on point. But as you can see, we want our mesh to slide in there. But it's always very difficult to keep it in there if we're just holding it in there. So what we use is I'll pull out a full packet, a packet of our water-soluble double-sided tape.
Magic tape.
It is magic tape. It doesn't have as much tackiness as some of your other double-sided tapes, but because of this, you can sew through it with your needle on your machine and not gum your needle up. So, moving forward, I'm going to pop that to the side, as we already have a couple of these rolls open because we use it quite frequently. So now that we've got our double-sided tape all in order, we are going to go and pop it down here. And press along
put your nail on the top
as we go. And because this is the mesh, what I'm going to do, because we really don't want our mesh to pop off, so I'm going to do it on both sides. And then it also gives our mesh top a bit of structure as well.
Yes, it stops it stretching, doesn't it?
Yes. So we're doing it on both sides. And as you can see, I'm just stepping along and pressing, stepping along and pressing.
When we do this binding, we put the tape on only one side because we can see the other side, don't we?
Yes, but because the mesh is going to be incorporated in between these layers here, we do like to keep it, just going to move that up. We do like to keep it on both sides as it gives you a better handle. So I'm just pulling away one side of this. And with our binding, I am actually, this is going to sound really weird, I'm going to put the side that we haven't peeled down first, get it all the way into our corner and press the top side down. Now this means that we're going to get it all the way into that corner edge.
That's important. I've never made a mistake with
never before. Not once. So as you can see, I've now opened it back up, and what we're going to do is we're going to peel the other side off and press that down. So now let's make sure that I just get I leave the tape, and then I'm going to press that down. Now we have our mesh all the way within our binding, so when we go to sew our top stitch on, it is going to stay in place and our mesh is not going to slip out.
And you wouldn't use a foot with a guide on it to get straight top stitching, would you?
Oh, not at all.
Yes, you would.
A compensating foot for a straight top stitch, which we have shown earlier in the video, or one with a guide, works fantastic. So I'm just going to pop these to the side and we're going to work on the other pieces.
We're going to put a zip onto that, aren't we?
Yes, we are going to put a zip onto that, but we're going to bind the rest of our pieces. So we're going to speed these up. As you can see here, we've put our binding on all of our pieces. There's just one piece left that we wanted to first put our zip pull onto. So as you can see here, we've got our zip tape. We're just going to pop that on first. What we tend to do is if the edges are a bit fuzzy to help out, we get a cigarette lighter and we just sort of...
Because it's a polyester.
Yep.
It's a synthetic, you just melt it and it stops it.
So I've practiced this a lot, so I don't need to use a helping hand, but we do have a zip jig available, which is just in the corner there of Heather. You can put it into shot that you can use if you need assistance on the tooth out. Sometimes I just find it a little bit easier to do it this way, but that's only because I have practiced.
You sit and watch Netflix movies and practice, didn't you?
Yeah, no, a few hours of practice, definitely. So, okay, now we've got our pull on. I've got my pre-prepared, pre-taped up binding here.
And we like things to close to the left and open to the right.
So our curved edge will face to the left as we pop it in.
Because we're right-handed.
Yes. So you'll see that the zip tape is oversized to this. That's fine because we only need the binding to be that big. And then I'm going to peel the other side off. Normally I would put the pull on after I've done all the sewing, but you can forget to put the pull on. Yes, I've done it. I have kicked myself about it. And we don't want you to forget to do that. So just peel this. Sometimes
those nails aren't working, are they? They need replacing.
Yes, they are looking a little bit worse for wear. So that's all prepped. Now, yet again, we're going to grab our clips to have it in place. You can have it further off. I've just maximized the binding, but it's really a personal preference.
Can I just also, once we put one more clip on, can I just then lay out what we're going to join together? So we need this. this. I'll put the pull up, hey, because it looks pretty when it's up.
Yep.
So we're going to sew in a minute. I know that sounds quite remarkable, but Vicky's going to sew along here and then join it all. We have to make the whole pocket, otherwise, and then join it to the bag with that seam along there.
Yep. So that will be our front piece that we're going to sew, and then we'll attach it to this back piece here. Okay, so give me 1 second. Move across to our other camera.
I believe it's threaded with the correct thread as well.
So now that we're at the machine, what we're going to do is we're going to attach our binding with our 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. You can see that I am starting with our zip tape here. And what we're going to do, using the bi-level foot and a 3.5 millimeter stitch length, we're going to top stitch along here at an 1/8 of an inch from the edge to give us a straight top stitch. And we're going to move our pull as we go. I've got all of my pieces right here prepped and ready to go to attach the binding to before making our pockets. So what I'm going to do, as we have a little bit of hangover for the zip tape, that's fine. I'm going to drop my needle. I've got my back tack on, pop my scissors away, and we're going to get started. Okay, now that's all of our pieces. As you might be able to see, I chain pieced all of these, so I'm going to snip and separate these out. So there you can see we've got all of our pieces. So I'm just going to trim off the long edges of this one here and pull any extra tape out. Keep it neat. Trimming your edges as you go, trimming your threads as you go is really helpful, because then you've got less to trim at the end. So we're just on this last one.
You've got to put that other zip on the binding as well.
Yeah. So what we are going to do is, we've got this half done. We're going to grab our double-sided tape, move it down into the camera, and we're going to create our front pocket. So popping these to the side. We've got our zip, double-sided tape on our zip just there.
I want to see the same amount of zip tape either side.
We're lining it up with the top binding, pressing down and ensuring that we've got the same amount of zip tape. Oh, get my arm out of that so you can see. Making sure that we've got the same amount of zip tape either side of the binding. And then we're going back to the machine and sewing that in place right away. And then sew off the edge. Okay. So I have both my pieces attached. Yep, and I'm going to close that pocket up. All nice and straight. If you're not happy with the widths, you can always go and amend the distances. So I'm going to go through. So that's our front pocket complete. Now we have our zip pocket, which we're going to do the same method of the double-sided tape, then stitching it in place. we have our zip gusset, which we will trim to size shortly.
That goes a bit narrower, doesn't it?
Yes.
We did that. On this pattern, I've given you a T.
Okay, so what Heather's done on this panel here is she has...
The T up here.
She's marked a T there, but what we will do shortly...
Sorry.
She's marked a little T in chalk on there. So just there. Okay. Because what we're going to do is we're going to add our handmade label. So I'm going to use some of the 505 basting glue on the back of our little tab. Now you can use regular glue as well, just regular craft glue, it doesn't matter.
Or a bit of double-sided tape.
Yeah, or double-sided tape, that's another one that we do use. I'm just going to, it seems a bit redundant, I'm just folding that in half to get a little bit of a crease to match up my T. So I can then go, and my hand is in a bit of the way, but I will show you in a second. So there we go. So to the camera, just a little.
You're going to top stitch that on.
Yep, I'm going to top stitch around that. Probably less than 1/8 of an inch because of the size of it, but the top of that T is there and I'm running it along that, and it matched up with the center of the little crease that I made. So here we go. So we have our handmade stitched on, ready to go and make. So this is now our back panel. So this is, we're preparing this for our mesh pocket. Now that we have sewn all of our binding onto our pieces and attached our zips, what we are going to do is we have marked a line across there per the pattern, a certain amount down, and what we're going to do is I am going to use the double-sided tape because I find this helpful along that line so we get a straight external pocket piece. So I've got a line, it's probably hard to see here because it's just light in chalk, and I'm following that line with the double-sided tape, and I'm going to snip that with a pair of scissors because we've got none here at all. We've got plenty, but it's just deciding which pair. And I'm going to snip.
Got that parallel by running a ruler along the top of the
Yes.
the piece, didn't we?
Yes. So using a ruler, running it parallel per the measurements in the pattern. I've stuck a double-sided piece of tape there. I am pressing that down. And then I'm going to peel the edge off. Sorry, my fingernails aren't helping, are they, Heather?
No, they need replacing. Or get it taking off or something. Have real ones, it works better.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. We've got our piece of tape there. So what we are doing is we are making sure that you can see this. We're lining the edges up and straight with that piece of tape, which is straight to the line, drawn in just in chalk so it can be rubbed off, and then we're pressing that down. What we'll do then is we'll grab a few clips, which is just to the right of Heather, and just clip these in place. Doesn't need to be many clips, just a couple, just to hold it.
We probably should show that the front panel is just a little bit longer than the back.
Yep.
Again, we have oversized things. They can always be trimmed away.
So, as you can see here, our zip's a bit longer, our front panel's a bit lower, which means that after we've sewn it in place that we're going to trim it down. I'm going to sew along the top edge with a 3.5 millimeter top stitch length.
Yep.
And then the other three sides I'm going to sew around at a 2.5 millimeter stitch length, as it's more of a construction stitch. Now to your right, Heather, we also have done this with the mesh pocket.
Oh.
We have pre-prepared the mesh pocket for the same thing.
We did that, didn't we?
Yep. So the mesh pocket has been put together. We've lined it up per the pattern.
I did it. I got it parallel to the top with the ruler.
Using the ruler. And we've just tacked it in place with the binding clips, and we'll sew all around the edge of this in a 2.5 millimeter stitch length, because all of this will end up in our seam allowance.
We'll trim all this excess off, won't we?
Yeah, and all the excess that you can see from this side will be trimmed off. What we'll do during this is what will happen is we'll sew over our zip tape, which will lock our zip pulls onto the project, so you won't accidentally pull them off. So I'm just popping my mesh piece in my little bucket to the side so that's out of frame, and going.
Are we happy with that?
Yep.
Got a lot of, I'm just going to move the camera just this bit.
Yep, so Heather's just adjusting the camera so you can see more of the sewing than anything else. I'm going to amend my stitch length
to 3.5.
Yeah, to 3.5. I'm going to move that out of the way where it won't roll off. Drop my presser foot and lower my needle. We will be back tacking at the front and back of this, as it will end up being in our seam allowance. And I'm going to back tack here. Okay, I'm gonna cut that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to lift the presser foot and I'm going to flip it over, because we want to make sure that we catch this bottom edge.
You want me to move that again?
Yeah. We want to make sure that we catch this bottom edge as it hangs over, not the top edge. So I am going to sew from the back. So I've put my clips on the wrong way.
Oh. You can pull them off.
Yep. So it is easier for the clips to pull off if the coloured bit is on top and the flat bit is on the base. So let's just go back to the sewing machine. And as we're using the compensating foot, let's go from that top stitch line, drop the presser foot, decrease our stitch length to 2.5, drop the needle in, and we're going to get going. Now, so I've got the edge of that foot butted up against there, and off we go. Now, when going across the zip, I do recommend that you go a smidge slow, because you will be going through the teeth, and that's just to protect your needle from, yep. So we're going to back tack that. We're going to cut that and lift our presser foot. Now we will be trimming away all of this excess here.
That's the beauty of this pattern.
And around there.
With just little bits of extra bits and pieces.
Let me tilt it in the right direction for you. Some excess there, and also on the extra zip there. So going to the next piece, we're going to speed this up for you, as you don't need to see every single bit we do. Okay. Okay, let's cut that. Now we've got our front pocket attached. We are going to go back to the other camera and we are going to trim our pieces up. Now that we are back to the to our top section here, we are going to trim off the excess from our top panels. So we're just going to flip it over. We're just going to cut this section with scissors, and I've put the ones our zip scissors away. So we're just going to trim that down using the high right in the V to trim that down, because we don't want to use our really nice scissors cutting plastic zip. So right in, not using the tips. So we're sure
it's a better cut.
Yeah, that it gives us a better cut, and two, it doesn't dull our rotary cutter blade, which is, we want to keep that pretty well situated. So I'm going to move this slightly over to the side so I get a better cut. So let's just, I'll cut that bit with some scissors. So we've trimmed this down, and you'll see that there's lots of always little bits and pieces. Trimmed that down. So we now have our completed front pocket and our completed mesh pocket. Now these are the front and back of our bag. So pop that in the bin.
Did you see what I put on the bench?
Now Heather pre-prepared for me a circle.
Can you see that?
Which
hard to see.
It's very hard to see. I'll pop it on that. It is a transparent circle, so it is hard to see. What we're going to do is, using some chalk, we are going to clean up this area a smidge first, and we're going to curve our corners and then trim them down. So I'm actually going to use this one, which, so taking our panel, using our circle per the size of the pattern.
And then Vicky will take this back to the machine. I don't normally cut that far away from my body. Back to the machine and just sew around it to hold the layers together, because that's one of those things we like to do. Just keeps us all contained.
Yes. Compressing our edges does help with the construction of the bag. And Heather is just on the side there trimming the zip down off our zip gusset.
I think, yeah, that's all right.
And I think you could potentially, okay. So what we're going to do with our zip gusset is we are going to center the pieces. So Heather's just about to trim the remaining corners, and I will seal, and then we're going to come and trim our zip gusset. So I'm going to go back to the machine and seal these corners off.
She's going to sew around it with that 1/8 seam allowance again. That's all.
Now that we have sealed off all four corners of each piece, we are going to go and trim our gussets. So we're going to go back to the cutting.
Now, we've, as I said to you many times already, we've oversized a few of the pieces in this, so that if we have slightly more zip tape showing or slightly less, it doesn't matter. So we trim it to size. So I find the half measurement of the gusset that we require. Now I can't put the ruler over the pulls because it won't do that. Okay, so I have got the lower gusset with the mice on it. I've got the zip gusset. I have got a D-ring strap connector, and I'll show you how I prepared those. It's a short length of our 3/4 inch seatbelt webbing, and I have flamed, this one I left, I've flamed either end, because this stuff does phrase like the Billy-O, doesn't it? But because it's a poly product. If we flame either end, which I've already done on the other one, it stops it fraying. We also leave a little bit within the seam allowance just to give it a bit more structure. So I am going to clip these. Can I have those other clips that I got, please, Vic? There was a reason for it.
Yep.
Clip those in position.
Now, whilst Heather is clipping that second one on, here we have this was originally our quad fold binding, but what we've done is we've unfolded it and just folded it simply in half. So now that we're going to use this to bind our gusset.
And in the pattern, it says to sew across this at 1/8 of an inch, just to situate them before we put it all together.
It's simply a basting in place stitch.
That's correct. So I'm going to go to the machine now. I think I might go to a normal foot now. I'm going to the J foot. I use the J foot on the Brother a tremendous amount because I just have it set at 1/4 of an inch. I don't need that, but I can judge 1/8 because it's half of 1/4, isn't it?
So she's using a foot that she is happy with. So Heather, like me, is just trimming down her threads, but we are leaving those tails of the strap connectors in place at the moment. So Heather has aligned her zip gusset with her gusset, and on the edge of that she has placed the binding that we just showed you. And she's starting sewing with an
2.5 stitch length, back tacking 3/8 of an inch.
Okay.
That's my first seam allowance. Now you'll notice my binding is a little bit long, but that's all right. Now, because we've got so much thickness here, can we see the thickness? Am I showing it correctly? And we've got this bit sticking out. So I'm going to sew now. I'm going to sew a seam at 1/4 of an inch.
So this is when we then go and trim the edge of the strapping off. And now that it has 3 layers of stitching through it, that is not going to come out.
No, it's not. And sometimes we do that too, not in this bag because we're not using rivets within the bag. Sometimes we do it because we want to put a rivet through. I'm top stitching this in place. So I've got a top stitching stitch length. I use the screwdriver with this hand if I use one. So that's how it looks on the outside. I'm going to trim this down now. So those bits all go into the...
So moving that close up to the camera so you can see.
Sorry.
So that is our top stitching, and if we flip it over, you'll see
how flat that binding is on the side of the bag. That will be on the inside going
all
down.
of our raw edges are covered and it's flat and neat. And Heather's going to repeat this step on the other side. now have a completed gusset loop.
What to do is
so if I am just shifting the camera so you can see, so Heather is going to notch her centers for the top and sides of the bag on both sides.
So I now have my quarters marked on here. Now I'm standing up and we're down to 3 pieces of our bag. We have the back, we have our front with our zip pocket, and there's the lining. It's all attached on. The back has the mesh pocket, and this is our gusset. I've turned it inside out because when we join these together, it's best to do it with the gusset inside out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip this together. Did it not? It's got it. I think it's off what I was just cutting.
Yeah. Per the pattern, we have referred to this as the gusset loop.
Yep.
Just for clarification.
Thanks for that. Now you'll remember that we've notched the quarter marks on each of our pieces. They're very little, and that's all right. We want right sides together.
You haven't done that on camera.
Am I on camera? There I am.
No, so what Heather has done by notching those quarter marks is she's going to show you on this second piece here, but we've notched the centre top, bottom, and the centre of each side. We've snipped it into it.
Well within the seam allowance. Well within the seam allowance. Now, when we construct this on the machine, we like to have the flat part down because we sew flatbed. So we are going to clip this, but we're going to make sure that the coloured part of our clip, and that's not a coloured one, is facing toward the gusset. So I've done the straight bits, so the top, the bottom and the sides, and I might put another clip on there because that's still straight there. Once we get to where it has to go around a curve, we have to do something different, and this is where I'm going to notch into. Now this is the gusset, so this is in the gusset loop, as Vic said, we called it that in the pattern. I'm going to do tiny little snips, probably 2 or 3 mil, about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm pushing that, in this case, the back of the bag down with my thumb, and the gusset is splaying out because I've just snipped it. So that's my thumb, and I'm squashing it in. Can you see the little bits have opened up because we've got to get it to go around a corner? Are we seeing that, Vic?
Hold still.
Okay, I'm going to keep doing that. We do the same with the front, but I only put one on at a time because we don't want all these clips because they do get in the way. You see here, I'm simply, now you do need pretty good scissors for this to snip through all these layers of foam and things. So I'm going to take this to the machine. I'm going to lay it down like this, and I'm going to sew this.
So now that we're at the sewing machine, Heather is going to sew the back panel to the zipper gusset loop.
Zip loop. Now, I am using a zip foot. So you can see here, and I have the needle set right over to the left. That gives me a fairly low profile 1/4 inch. It's what I use to sew gussets. And I've got it on a 2.5mm stitch length, and I've got back tacking set, and I've started on a straight part of the bag. So I'm back to a straight part, and this is the beauty of. So what I am going to show you is I'm going to turn this through.
So what Heather's doing is she's turning the bag through to the right side so she can check all of her seams.
Yeah.
So that's what the back of the bag is going to look like. Now, as you've seen that on the already made one, so we will continue on and we will show you the next step.
I have undone the zip so that we can reach through, although these zip pulls do slide very well because they're not locking zips like some dress zips are locking zips. I have got right side to right side. I'm ensuring that I have got it the correct way up because that's the top and that's the top. I'm putting my coloured clips toward the gusset loop as we discussed before.
And making sure that we're lining up our notches with each of these sides. Okay, now Heather's just finished the home stretch of this and she's back tacking because we do want to make sure that we've locked our seams off for both the front and the side panel. Yep.
Push these seams right out. But as we have to turn it through, we're going to put the binding on. I'm not going to get too thingy about it. But I appear to have caught all the seams. We're now going to do the binding on our bag because we've sewn it all together and we want the inside to look neat. We use a product called Fold Over Elastic and we stock this in 1 inch wide by 2 yard pieces. We've written it one way in the pattern, but we've since come up with another way of doing it. I've already cut a piece which goes around our bag and we put a bit of tension on it because elastic works when it's got a bit of tension on it. And then I'm going to sew it together without a twist because we don't want a twist.
Now both methods do work. This is just an alternate method.
So now I've butterflied the seam and I'm going to put this onto my bag. I start on one of the straight sides and I clip it in place. Now also, when you think about it, on the inside of your bag, this will be in a corner. So we do not see it.
So what Heather's doing is she's making sure that the fold over elastic is even on either side and then it's pushing down onto the edge there. So like with how we constructed the bag, she's probably going to do one side. She's going to sew this together. Then she's going to cut the other piece and clip it and sew it together.
Sorry, and I'm also going to use my By Any stiletto. No, there's lots of stilettos or tailor's awls or whatever you want to call them. So I'm putting this under the presser foot.
This just gives her a bit more leverage. And by using the stiletto, one, it keeps her finger away from the needle, as well as helping her hold it in place. Okay, and now we're going to prepare our second side.
We don't make it too tight. It's really just enough to keep it together, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Just to put a little bit of tension on it. I have now completed sewing the fold over elastic onto both sides of our binding. I've ensured that I've caught it all in with my machine on both sides. It is a bit wobbly, let me tell you, it's a bit wobbly, I'm acknowledging that, but now I'm going to turn the bag through, and this is where the magic happens. Now, what I like to do when a bag is newly made, because they look a bit bouncy, don't they? Oh, and also you only see the top bit of the binding because it's in a corner. Isn't that fancy, hey? This is what it does. Now, I've got this box of clips that I've been given over the years, and I find them too big for binding clips for bag making, but what I do is they're big enough for this. So I leave it sitting like that for 24 hours.
So just so you can see, yep, up to 24 hours. Okay, everybody, now we are on to our crossbody strap. So right here I have a coil of our 3/4 inch seatbelt webbing that I've cut to length per the pattern, and I've also marked out per the pattern our 3 line measurements. You don't need to do these if you don't want to, but you can. I've just marked these out in chalk. Okay, so our first step is to grab our little hardware kit here. We've already used the D-rings out of this. We're now going to need the swivel hooks and our slide adjuster. Now, in our kits, we put Chicago screws, but as we have a rivet press, we're going to be setting these with rivets. But if you have a rivet press and are wanting the kit, we are very happy if you shoot us a message to exchange the Chicago screws for rivets. But starting on this strap, we have our slide adjuster. We are going to go over the bar and we're going to thread it under. So thread it under. We're going to fold our raw edge in at that first fold to the next line, and then we're going to take it down to here. So we then have our clip. So to hold that in place, I'm going to grab a clip and pop it there. So that's going to hold our slide adjuster in place. Now that I'm looking at that, I might scoot that up a smidge. There we go.
I think you can sew it if you want to also.
Yeah. Now, yeah, if you don't want to use the rivets, or you want to use the Chicago screw or rivet with an extra bit of security, you can always sew it. So what we are going to do is we're going to take that off. Now, as I don't have a 3/4 inch measuring tool, I'm going to eyeball the center here. Luckily, this is kind of a herringbone pattern, so there is a center mark.
What a pleasant sound.
And that click means I've gone through all my layers. Now, we want to use some fray check. What this is going to do is this is going to prevent all the bits of these holes here. So it's just going to add some liquid there. It's going to prevent that from fraying. So I'm going to pop the cap back on that. And I'm going to grab one of my rivets. Now you don't need to set these yet. So I'm grabbing my post and I'm putting my post through one side.
Nice khaki strapping and a gunmetal rivet.
So you can see that the post of the rivet is through there, and I'm just going to clip the cap on. And now that's going to sit there till we set it.
You heard a little click, didn't you?
Yeah, yes. You know that it's set in place when you hear a little click. Okay, so now that we've got this, we're going to go to the opposite end here. Yes, we're going to take our swivel hooks, which we still have in our packaging. And what we're going to do is we're going to thread it up and through. As you can see on the bench here, we're going to pull it all the way back across, because we're going to thread this end. We're going with the folded end in there.
So that ends up in the loop,
yes,
doesn't it?
Yes, it does. So you're hiding that. So up through there, over where the bar we already have our strapping in, and underneath, and we're pulling it through. So that creates our slide adjuster for us. So we can then slide it down. Okay, and we have our slide adjusted there. Now, just to finish this off, we need to grab our second swivel hook. If you're wanting to hide the fold of your strap, do have your swivel hook go in from the top and down. So as you can see there, then we're going to fold it to the line and fold it again. Like we did with the slide adjuster. I'm going to take a clip, and for you guys to see this all together, let's go diagonal. So maybe we can get you in with the diagonal. So we've started with our slide adjuster. We've taken it along. We've threaded it through our top first swivel hook, taken it back, gone under, over, and under with the slide adjuster, threaded back through the swivel hook. Now we're going to go back here again, and we're going to do what we did with the slide adjuster, and we're going to punch a hole through all the layers. What we're going to do next is we're going to get our rivet press. Now here's a little trick that I learned. Now I make sure that I'm using the side, the non-cap side.
Oh, it has a screwing bit with the silicone at the top. So
both these portions you swap out for the different size dies that you use. Now we automatically keep an 8mm die as our standard die in our rivet press, as that is what works for us. So I've attached that, and we're just applying pressure, which has set our rivet, and we are going to do the same for this side. Click it into place, because it's the silicone up the top, we can click it into place and then just press.
I think that's it. And how quick is that?
And now we have our crossbody strap completed.
And I was simply going to just show a little bit about how the Chicago screws work, because with that hole you can use Chicago screws. So this is the male portion. Very hard to see. It's got a little thread on it. We can see that. I'll get really close.
Really close.
I can't see that distance to the monitor.
Yep, so that's our male.
And this is the female portion, in that it's got an internal, it's got a hole with the thread inside it. So when you get the male and female together with whatever you want to hold together in between, and you do it up righty-tighty. And sometimes when we do these, we also put a little bit of Loctite on the thread, don't we, Vicky?
Yes.
Which is a Bunnings product.
Okay,
in the
now
tool shop.
we're going to, yes. So for Chicago screws, that's what we do. You do need to punch the hole slightly bigger. So test on a scrap bit of material the size you need. We are going to grab our bag again, pretending that we have had the clips on it for 24 hours, and we're going to show you our final product. Okay, so...
It's not been quite 24 hours.
No, it hasn't been quite 24 hours. Probably hasn't even been quite 24 minutes. So we're just pulling these off. The longer you leave it, the longer the crease will stay within that bag.
You can also steam them a little bit.
Yep. So you can see they just come off really quickly. We're going to zip up our bag with our hours on top. Press that down. We're going to take our crossbody strap and clip it in place using our swivel hooks. So there we have our fussy cutted crossbody eagle bag. So this is our pattern from Electric Needle Girls. We do sell the hardware kits. We are also really quick, easy make. We are also looking at teaching these as a class. Well, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed you making out the eagle crossbody bag, and send us your pictures.
Yep. Post it on socials.
Thank you. Bye.